All right, let's jump right in. The Art of War. When you hear that title, what comes to mind? Probably epic battles, right? Clashing swords, brilliant generals, and you're not wrong. It's guided military leaders for literally thousands of years. But here's the thing, it's so often misunderstood. People think it's just a book about how to fight. But what if the biggest secret in the Art of War is that it has almost nothing to do with fighting?
So let me ask you this. Just think about it for a second. What is the absolute best, most effective, most brilliant way you could possibly win a war? Is it having a bigger army? Better weapons? Maybe some genius surprise attack?
And there it is, right there. That is the central, kind of mind-bending idea of this entire book. Sun Tzu says, look, the ultimate victory, the absolute peak of strategy, is to win before the battle even starts. To get your opponent to give up without a single sword being drawn.
So in this explainer, we're gonna break down the 4 key pillars of Sun Tzu's whole philosophy. We'll start with that main goal, winning without fighting. Then we'll get into the prep work of knowing yourself and your enemy. After that, the psychological tools, deception, and momentum. And finally, the brutal economic truth about the real cost of war.
Okay, first up, this whole idea of winning without fighting. Now you gotta understand, this isn't just some clever little phrase. It is the bedrock for everything else that follows. It's a total shift in how you should think about conflict and, well, success in general.
And this really shows you just how proactive this philosophy is. See, true mastery isn't about being good at reacting to an attack. No. It's about anticipating what your rival is planning so perfectly that you can just completely shut it down before they even make their first move. You win by making their big, brilliant plan totally irrelevant.
So, you might be wondering, okay, how do I actually do that? How do you win without a fight? Well, it all comes down to an incredible amount of preparation. Sun Tzu was convinced that battles are won or lost way before anyone steps onto the field. They're decided in the planning stages, through a ruthless and really honest look at the whole situation.
This is probably his most famous line, and for a really good reason. It's the absolute cornerstone of any strategy. Victory isn't about luck. It's the totally predictable result of having better information and, just as important, better self-awareness.
And to get that knowledge, Sun Tzu gives us a framework, the 5 constant factors. First, you've got moral law. That just means making sure your people are 100% behind you and the cause. Second is heaven. That's all about timing, things like weather, the seasons. Third, earth, knowing the physical terrain, the literal ground you're standing on. Fourth, the commander, the quality of leadership. And finally, method and discipline. That's your logistics, your organization, the nuts and bolts. And the key is, you have to analyze all 5 of these for yourself and for your opponent.
And this is how all that knowledge becomes real action. These 5 essentials are like a pre-flight checklist for any conflict. Is your team totally unified? Are you ready to take advantage of them being unprepared? Do you actually have the freedom to make the right calls without interference? If the answer is no to any of these, you're just not ready.
All right, so once you've done all your homework, it's time to play the psychological game. This is where strategy goes beyond just counting soldiers and supplies. This is about getting inside your opponent's head.
Another one of his greatest hits. And it's so important to get this right. This isn't just about telling lies. It's about controlling the story. It's about shaping your opponent's view of reality so that they're the ones who make the mistakes you want them to make.
I mean, just look at this. When you are strong, you have to look weak. When you're busy moving your forces, you have to appear totally inactive. When you're right next door, you need to make them think you're miles away. You're essentially creating this thick fog of war, where it's impossible for them to figure out what you're really doing or what you're truly capable of.
And inside that fog you've created, you have to be completely flexible. Sun Tzu uses this amazing metaphor of water. Water doesn't just smash into a mountain, it flows around it. And in the same way, a master strategist never attacks an opponent's strength head-on. You flow around it. You find where they're vulnerable, where they're undefended, and that's where you strike.
And when you finally do strike, it has to be with this overwhelming, crushing momentum, what the Chinese call shi. Think about it like building up pressure behind a dam. You use all that careful positioning, all that deception, all that timing to build up this massive potential energy. And then you release it all at once, right at their weakest point. It just becomes an unstoppable force.
So finally, let's get to one of Sun Tzu's most overlooked, but honestly one of his most modern insights, his absolutely ruthless pragmatism about the economics of conflict. This isn't just about winning, it's about winning efficiently.
Sun Tzu is just crystal clear about this. Long conflicts are an absolute disaster, even if you're technically winning on the battlefield. Why? Because they destroy your economy, they exhaust your people, they dull your weapons, and you know what else? They practically invite other rivals to come take advantage of you while you're weak. Speed is everything.
And this number right here, this makes the whole abstract idea of logistics feel incredibly real. Get this, for every 1 cart of supplies you capture from the enemy, you save yourself the cost of transporting 20 of your own carts from home. 20 times the value. It's such a stark reminder that war is won and lost in the supply chain.
And that all leads to this final, absolute judgment. No one, no country ever truly benefits from a long war, period. If your victory isn't quick, it's not really a victory at all. It's just a slow-motion defeat that happens to look like a win.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, all of these pillars, that intense preparation, the psychological mastery, and the economic efficiency, they all serve that one ultimate goal we talked about at the very beginning: to break the enemy's will to fight without actually fighting.
And this wisdom isn't just for generals on a battlefield. Think about it. In business, you have to assess the market terrain before you launch a product. In a negotiation, you use a form of deception by not revealing your bottom line right away. In your career, you build up momentum and value before you ask for that big promotion. And in any project, you know that delays and scope creep have a real painful cost. These principles are absolutely timeless.
So, the next time you're facing a challenge, it could be big, it could be small, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Are you just getting ready to fight the battle head on? Or are you preparing with knowledge, with psychology, and with efficiency to win before it even starts?